2.5. Boom!
Number 1. Mick Foley. When fans talk about the most brutal match in WWE history, one name always comes up. Hell in a Cell at King of the Ring 1998. The Undertaker vs. Mankind. Mick Foley's career-defining match. And what makes it legendary isn't just the insane bumps. It's the fact that Mick Foley finished that match while unconscious. Here's how it went down. Before the bell even rang, Foley had an idea. He wanted to make history. He and Undertaker climbed to the top of the cell before the match officially began. That decision changed everything. Moments later, Taker threw Foley off the top of the cell, sending him crashing through the announce table. The entire arena thought he was dead. Jim Ross famously screamed, "Good God Almighty, they've killed him!" What fans didn't realize at that moment was that Foley was already out cold. The impact knocked him unconscious instantly. Referees swarmed him. Medical staff begged him to stop. The Undertaker even admitted later he thought the match was finished. But somehow, Mick Foley got up, stumbling, barely awake, and demanded the match continue. And that wasn't the end. Minutes later, Undertaker choke-slammed him through the cell roof. The panel gave way, and Foley crashed to the ring below, landing on a steel chair that smashed his face. His tooth went through his lip and came out his nose. His body was lifeless. Again, Mick was out cold. And yet, the match still didn't stop. Undertaker had no choice but to keep going, even though his opponent was barely conscious. Officials begged Foley to quit, but he kept pushing forward. By this point, he wasn't wrestling. He was surviving on instinct. The Undertaker later admitted he didn't even know how Foley was moving. His body was broken, his brain had shut off multiple times, and still, he finished the match. Fans watching live couldn't believe it. This wasn't a performance anymore, it was real. The man inside that cell wasn't just taking punishment, he was literally unconscious and still fighting. That's why to this day, people call it the most dangerous, the most unbelievable match in wrestling history. And here's the thing, Mick Foley doesn't even remember large parts of it. He's admitted in interviews that his memory cuts out after that first fall through the table. The rest? Blank. Which means that he wrestled one of the most iconic matches of all time, unconscious. Think about that for a second. One of WWE's most replayed, most talked about moments was performed by a man who wasn't even fully awake. He had no idea what his body was doing, but still went down in history as part of the most violent hell in a cell of all time. Undertaker walked out as the winner that night. But the truth is, Mick Foley became a legend, because only Mick Foley could be thrown off a cell, knocked out cold, and still finish a match that fans will never forget. Number 2. The Miz. When we talk about WrestleMania main events, the spotlight is usually on the grand entrances, the finishes, and the drama that WWE plans out to perfection. But in 2011, at WrestleMania 27, something happened that wasn't planned, and it almost changed the entire show. The Miz walked in as WWE Champion to face John Cena in one of the biggest matches of his life. But during the match, something went horribly wrong. At one point, the action spilled outside the ring, and Cena and Miz collided with each other near the ringside barricade. The Miz's head slammed hard onto the floor. The impact was so violent that Miz was knocked completely unconscious. And here's the shocking part. He didn't just go down for a second. Miz was out cold. John Cena himself admitted later that he knew something wasn't right when Miz wasn't reacting to him. What makes this even more wild is that this wasn't the first time it had happened to The Miz. In fact, years earlier, Miz had already gained an unfortunate reputation in the locker room for being vulnerable to knockouts. One of the most famous examples was during a match with Kofi Kingston. In that match, Kofi hit Miz with such a stiff Trouble in Paradise kick that Miz dropped instantly. He wasn't selling, he wasn't playing, it was real. Miz's body went limp, and for a moment, everyone thought the match would have to be stopped. But somehow, Miz regained enough awareness to stumble through and finish, though you could clearly see in his eyes that the lights were on but nobody was home. So when WrestleMania 27 came around, and Miz's head hit the floor against Cena, history seemed to repeat itself. This time, it was on the biggest stage possible. And yet, Miz pushed through. Somehow, after being completely out, he still managed to keep going, finish the match, and even retain the WWE Championship after The Rock interfered. But that doesn't erase the fact that Miz literally finished a WrestleMania main event while knocked out cold. It's one of those moments WWE doesn't like to bring up, but fans who caught it know how real it was. Miz wasn't just playing a role that night, he was surviving. And it only adds to the strange history of his career. A man who has been knocked out in the ring more than once, yet still came back to become one of the longest-lasting stars in WWE history. That moment proved just how dangerous WWE can be. It's not all scripted entertainment. Real injuries happen, and when a superstar gets legitimately knocked out, there's no way to fake that. The Miz, for all the criticism he gets, has shown over and over that he's one of the toughest men in the locker room. He's been unconscious in matches, but he's never once walked away or quit. And that's why, even if fans love to boo him, you've got to respect his resilience. Number 3. Brock Lesnar. When you think of Brock Lesnar, you think of dominance, a beast, a destroyer, a man who doesn't break. But at WrestleMania 19, the unthinkable happened. Brock Lesnar was knocked out cold and still finished the match against Kurt Angle. This was supposed to be Brock's coronation. What does Brock decide to do? Something insane. Something nobody expected from a 295-pound monster. He climbs the top rope and goes for a shooting star press. Yes, Brock Lesnar, a man built like a tank, trying a backflip from the top rope. He'd done it before in developmental, but never on this kind of stage. The crowd rose to their feet. This was about to be the most iconic WrestleMania moment of all time. But it went horribly wrong. Brock under-rotated. Instead of landing on Kurt Angle, he came crashing headfirst onto the mat. The sound of his skull hitting the canvas was sickening. Instantly, Brock was out. His body twitched, his eyes went blank. Fans in the front rows said it looked like he had no idea where he was. Kurt Angle, who was already wrestling with a broken neck, realized immediately something was off. He leaned into Brock, whispering directions, literally guiding him through the final seconds of the match. The referee checked him too. Lesnar wasn't responding properly. He was concussed, dazed, and barely hanging on. And yet, somehow, Brock Lesnar kept moving. On pure instinct. On autopilot. His brain was shut down, but his body refused to quit. He picked up Angle, stumbled through an F5, and fell onto him for the pin. But go back and watch the footage. After the match, Brock doesn't even celebrate. He's staring into nothing, eyes glazed over, his body shaking. That's not selling. That's a man who had just knocked himself unconscious and still finished the WrestleMania main event. Fans still argue about it to this day. Some say WWE should have stopped the match right there, even if it ruined the finish. Others say it proved Brock's toughness, that even unconscious, he was still the beast. Clips of that botched shooting star press are still viral on YouTube today. Every time they resurface, fans can't believe he walked away from it, let alone finish the match. And here's the chilling part. Brock himself admits he doesn't even remember it. That's how dangerous it was. The biggest match of his career, the moment that crowned him champion, is a blur in his memory because he was concussed and unconscious. WrestleMania 19 wasn't just about Brock Lesnar winning the WWE title. It was about a man proving that even when the lights go out, even when his brain shuts down, he can still survive. But it also left fans asking, at what cost? Thanks for watching, I will see you in the next video.